everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar today on paid summer research opportunities for 2- and 4-year college students in the geosciences. We really appreciate you taking time to join us on the webinar today. We do know it's a busy week for a lot of people. We'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, especially the National Science Foundation and our home institutions, UCAR and NCAR, as well as our research programs.
Hi, I'm Lesley Smith. I'm Associate Director for Education and Outreach at the Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences at the University of Colorado, and I direct the Research Experience for Community College Students, or REX, which I'll be talking about later.
And I'm Bec Batchelor. I'm a co-PI of the Significant Opportunities in Atmospheric Research Science, or SOARS program at the National Center for Atmospheric Research. This is an undergraduate to graduate bridge program aimed at building diversity in the atmospheric sciences. So I know what you're all here today to be taught about is what a research experience is, why you should do one, and how to apply for one. So today we're going to tell you a little bit about those things and a little bit about what you might expect over your summer. So first, what is a research experience, or as it's sometimes called a research internship? It's really an opportunity for undergraduate students to have to try out scientific research, and they're going to have the chance to work with a mentor or a team of researchers to do a genuine research, engineering, computing program, as well as to meet other students like themselves who have similar interests. Research internships, especially the research experiences for undergraduates, which are sometimes called REUs, and we'll use that term a little bit. They're usually 6 to 10 weeks long, and they're in the summertime predominantly, though some do run through the terms. They can be anywhere in the country, including at universities, national labs, museums, or at field sites. And really nice for you, they are paid. They will have a stipend, or you may be made an employee. They will cover the cost of your travel and accommodations if you live somewhere different. And they are supported with professional and career development activities. Of course, most importantly, you'll be spending your summer conducting a genuine research project which you get to feel ownership of. So you really will be a scientist for this summer. Why should you do one? First and foremost, this is real work experience. It will give you a competitive edge whether you are applying for a 4-year college, a graduate program, or a job. It will give you a chance to develop new skills that are relative to science research and experience. And most importantly, perhaps, it will give you a chance to find out whether the field is right for you. It's a much smaller investment of your time than jumping into a graduate school program and finding out you don't like science research. To back this up, we have, there was a survey done of employers on perceptions of different roles and when they're employing recent graduates. And you'll see here at the top that internships was the #1 thing that employers were actually looking for. You might ask why that is. Why not your major and the course information? And that, of course, is important, but the skills that employers are particularly looking for are what we would call soft skills. These are things like critical thinking, creativity, curiosity, problem solving, as well as reliability and responsiveness, communication skills, and the ability to write concisely, fluidly, and well. And in addition to that, there's this team participation and time and project management. It turns out that your research experience is a great way to gain skills and experience with all of these things. There's also a lot of research out there that shows that these research experiences can really help drive your career choices. What you experience when you're actually doing science research is quite different from what you'd experience learning science in the classroom. Both of those things together will give you a much better idea of whether a science career is something that you want to do. So when you get into the REU experience, or the research experience, you'll find that you develop feelings about being a scientist. You'll feel confident in talking about your research and in presenting it. And that gives you a better self-confidence and a better gain in technical skills. And all of that translates into you being better prepared for a 4-year college or grad school or for the workforce. So now I've convinced you that you should do a research experience. Maybe you want to know what that might actually look like. Now here's a photo of a team here at UCAR. You can see that there is a group who are coming together for this research experience. Of course, most importantly, you do get to conduct genuine research. Usually these are an individual project, sometimes a team project, And depending on the project and the field of study and the program that you apply for, your genuine research project might look quite different. Here's some examples. You could be out in the field making measurements. You could be working in a lab. You could be working on instrument development or testing or troubleshooting, or you could spend a lot of time in front of a computer working with models or data analysis. Either way, you're getting a touch of what science in your field might actually look like. In all of these research experiences, you will get to work directly with leading scientists. Who that might look like could be graduate students, it could be postdoctoral students, or it could be very senior faculty, or some combination of them. In SOARS, we have a mentoring structure that gives you at least 4 or 5 mentors in a project. Other opportunities give you a team of students working with 1 or 2 faculty. But whatever way that is, you get to develop a good, solid working relationship with a genuine scientist who can write you great reference letters in the future and will help you to move forward into your career. Across the board, whatever research experience you delve into, you are going to learn new skills. Pretty consistently across all of the programs, you're going to learn some science skills. Things like developing a hypothesis, working out how to make measurements, analyzing your data, how to present it. You'll get the opportunity to present your projects, whether that's in a poster form or a presentation form. You'll learn something about scientific ethics. On top of that, you're likely to get some skills in things like what a career might look like in your field, how you apply to graduate school, maybe some experiences on learning how to write scientifically or present scientifically, perhaps even leadership training. So there's a lot of those skills. In addition, you may get some skills you didn't really expect to experience. Things like, how do I reshape my research project when things go wrong, when my instrument doesn't work? How do I deal with boredom or finding out that I don't have enough data to answer my questions? Because these are genuine research questions, things that we don't know the answer to, sometimes things do go wrong in these experiences. And this is a really great experience for everybody involved in how you deal with these uncertainties and build the skills around becoming a real scientist. So as I said, it's really a chance for you to try out what science actually looks like, rather than what you might get in the classroom, where most of the experiments that you're doing in the lab have been done before and will usually go according to plan. For us, one of the most important pieces that you're going to gain out of your research experience is the network of people that you're participating in the program with. These are your peers, they become your friends, they may come from all over the country. And science is a relatively small field. There's a pretty good chance that if you stay in your field, a number of these students that participate in your research program will be working with you right throughout your career. So this is a really great opportunity to expand your network of supporters, colleagues, and friends. And so I think that the interpersonal relationships that develop during these experiences are often one of the highlights of a research experience for many people. At the end of your summer, you will have a research project. You'll have a poster or a presentation that you can present at a national conference if you want to. Potentially at a school conference, a lot of opportunities, including virtually presenting. And this opens up a whole new world to you to talk science with scientists in the language of science. This is a chance for you to meet potential graduate advisors, future collaborators, and just to get a feeling for being a real scientist. So now you might ask, well, what opportunities are available to you? And it is really nice that there are a lot of opportunities. NSF funds REU programs across the sciences. You'll see there's a link here to those. In the geosciences, we have 16 atmospheric and geospace science programs, 22 earth science and geology programs, 30 ocean sciences. Now I can hear you thinking right now, but I don't have an oceanography degree, or I don't have an atmospheric science degree. It doesn't matter. If this is something that you're interested in, if you're coming at it from a science, engineering, math, geography background, any of these skills as an undergraduate can all contribute to you jumping into one of these REUs and trying out a field. We'd like to catch you into the geosciences, so it's to our advantage to bring you in from whatever place you're at. NCAR, my organization, offers a number of undergraduate internships, including in high-performance supercomputing and atmospheric and climate research. NASA has a large number of internships. And a shout out to the Institute for Broadening Participation, which maintains a searchable database for all sorts of internship opportunities, and that link is also here. Many private companies also have their own internship programs, but I wouldn't necessarily expect that you'll have a large cohort built around all of these opportunities, and that some places will be more or less different from that. But if there's somewhere that you're interested in working at, do check out their websites, because a lot of programs do have internships for undergraduate students. So a program that's near and dear to our heart is the NSF GeoReu program. That's all of the REUs that are in the geosciences. Like I said, atmospheric, oceanography, geology, earth science, critical zone science, ecology. So there are a number of these programs, and they are located all over the country. They can be at universities, they could be at national labs, they could be at field sites. Most of these are in the summer and are residential, but not always. They typically take in a cohort of 10 to 20 students a year, so we're really looking to build a community around each of these REUs. And they will nearly always include structured professional development or mentoring plans. So that might be some writing workshops, it might be structured career development activities, exposure to graduate schools, many will tour graduate schools. These programs do recruit really widely, and they may be really competitive. But you should still apply. You can't be in it to win it unless you're in it. There is a commitment for most of these REU programs to recruiting students from non-research intensive universities. That's not to say that you won't get in if you are at a research intensive university, but if you're at a small school, a community college, a tribal college, you still have an opportunity here. At least 18 of these NSF GeoReus have told us that they are particularly interested in recruiting community college students, and all of them are looking to build the diversity of the geoscience workforce. You will note that some programs do focus more specifically on juniors or seniors, so whenever you're looking at a program, you want to focus in on whether you might fit into that. Like I said, don't let your major necessarily define that. Don't be afraid to ask the question if there's a program that looks really interesting to you, but you don't look like you feel right into the particular requirements that they have, because there's always the possibility of exceptions being made. And you should investigate and apply for any of these programs that are interesting to you. I'll give a shout out to my own program. SAWS is a little bit different from many of these REU programs in that it's actually a multi-year internship program, and it has year-round support. It's been running for 20 years and is really aimed at building diversity in the atmospheric sciences. We're very lucky to be able to tap into NCAR, NOAA, CU mentors all over Boulder, and we have a very well-developed mentoring system. Unlike many of these other programs, we do have some tuition support and financial support for conference travel. So this is a little bit of the luxury model, I'll admit, but it's a great opportunity if you're interested in atmospheric research sciences. Please look us up. The website is here, and the deadline is February the 1st. And I'm pretty proud of this program and excited. You should apply for it. I'm going to hand over to Lesley here to talk a little bit about her program.
Great. And I just want to mention, if you do have a question, you can go ahead and write in your question in the question tab on the screen, and we will be addressing these questions at the end of our presentation.
Thanks, Lesley.
You're welcome. So as I said, I'm directing the research experience for community college students in critical zone science, or REX. And this is specific to community college students across Colorado. And we're very interested in recruiting not only along the Front Range, but in the more rural areas. It's a 9-week program. We accept 10 students, and you may end up doing research at CU, NOAA, or the U.S. Geological Survey, depending on where our mentors come from. And we're a semi-residential program, recognizing that a lot of times students may have family or jobs or pets that keeps them from staying at CU. So we have housing for about half the students on campus, and the other half we will pay a stipend for commuting back and forth. The first week is intensive team building. We will be spending 2 nights this year up at the Mountain Research Station run by CU, doing team building and learning about research. And we do a lot of training, as Bec has been talking about, and Bec actually is our trainer for the communication part of the program. So we actually collaborate quite a bit with SOARS, as well as some of the other internships within Boulder. There's quite a few. And our application is on February 13th, and for more information, you can look at the website below. So you might be thinking at this point, how do I apply? Well, as Bec has said, there's lots of different programs across the U.S. First, it's helpful to decide which area that you might be interested in pursuing research-wise, which part of the country you might want to be in. Go to the website, look at the requirements. Every program might have a slightly different deadline for your application materials, so make sure you look at that. Most applications require a recommendation letter, at least one, from an advisor or a professor, transcripts from your school, some essays, and a form. So how do you write a good essay? First of all, learn about the program, look at the questions that they're asking as far as including in your essay. Make sure that you gear it towards the particular program that you're applying to. And if you can, back up your statements with examples of interests, things that you've done, classes you've taken, and so forth. And we really want to get a feel for you. So let your personality shine through. That's very important. Give yourself enough time to have somebody that can review it and help you edit it and hone it in better. You want to make sure that you have a very well-written statement. And you'll see here, SOARS has somebody explaining how to write a good essay, and we've also done that on our REX website. Who do you ask for your recommendation letter? If you haven't gotten to know a professor or two well, start doing it now. Go to their office hours, catch them after class, whatever. It's hard for them to write a good letter if they don't really know you well. And oftentimes they have a lot of students asking them. Employers, for instance, if you're working in a lab or at a job outside of campus that is science related, ask them. If you've had other previous internship opportunities, ask those people. Don't ask family or friends. Don't ask for your college friends and high school teachers, your boss from a non-science job. For community college, oftentimes we've had students have their academic advisors or counselors write a letter, and that's fine. But for some of the other programs like SOARS, they're looking more for the professors or the employers in science-related jobs.
The reason that we ask for that is because these are the people who have worked with you in a science or learning setting and are usually able to work a little bit more about how your work ethic is and what your potential is for doing research. You certainly don't have to have done research before, and some people feel like that's a limiting factor. It's not. You can think about the times that you have been working in a group situation, in a lab. That might be something that you could reference back to. Maybe you did a science fair project. Those are experiences that could be useful for you there too. I'm seeing that there is a question here about recommendations for people who have no experience. So definitely don't let not having formally done an internship before be a limiting factor for you. But think about the people who may have worked with you within a group setting. Your lecturers and professors are the best people to contact there.
And you can look back on that soft skills slide, and perhaps you were in a sort of job that you had leadership opportunities. Those are the sort of things that you can certainly draw out of your experiences and note that in your application. As far as getting a strong recommendation letter, again, we've got a little video clip from one of our community college faculty members explaining what she looks for. She really wants to get to know a student. It's helpful to give your recommender a resume or a CV showing what you have been doing up until then. Make sure you give them plenty of time. If the application, for instance, our application's due on Monday, February 13th, don't go to them the Friday before saying, I need a recommendation. I would give them a few weeks' notice. Again, they may be having several students asking for recommendations, so make sure you give them time. Explain where they should go on the website. If they need more information about the program, let them know when the deadline is and how to submit their application or their letter. It would also be helpful to share the essays that you've written so they know how you're explaining yourself to the program, and they can perhaps embellish that or address those attributes that you've pointed out about yourself. Make sure that when the deadline gets close, that you ask your recommender if they have indeed submitted their letter. You could either catch them after class or during office hours, or send them a friendly reminder, maybe even a week before, saying, hey, have you sent that recommendation in for me yet? So what is the timeline for applying? Well, we're in December now, so fall is just about past, but at this point, what you could be doing is researching the various programs, talking to your recommenders, start drafting your essays, order your transcripts from the university. And again, like I said, make sure that you follow up with your recommender, making sure that he or she has gotten that into the program. And make sure you're aware of the deadline. Each program may have a slightly different deadline, and you want to make sure that everything is in for that deadline, because these programs tend to be quite competitive, and if you don't have a complete packet, a lot of programs won't even review all your materials. Then what happens next? Well, you have to sit and wait for a bit. It gets to be very busy on our end. We start sorting through all the different applications, again, making sure that they're complete. We review them. Some programs actually do a phone interview. We think about the pool of mentors that we have and potential matches. That takes some work, trying to determine the best match between mentor and student. Some programs may have some questions for students. I know in the past, with our community college students, somebody had indicated that they were planning on taking calculus for the summer. And we contacted them and said, if you get this internship, it's full-time, you won't have time to be able to take a class. Is that a problem? And they said, no, I can do it in the following fall. I would prefer to take the internship if offered that. So sometimes you will be hearing from programs with questions. Most likely, you will be hearing by mid-March if there are questions. NSF has a common acceptance deadline of March 15th for, I think, all geoscience programs. Maybe some of the other ones have different dates. But you should mark March 15th on your calendar, and at that point, start regularly checking your emails.
What that common acceptance deadline actually means is you might hear from one or more of the programs that you've been accepted. You don't have to say yes or no until March 15th. That gives you a chance to look at the different options that you may have and make the best decision for you. Again, check with the program that you've applied for if you do get accepted that is relevant, because most programs are sticking to that, but not necessarily all of them.
Great, that's a good clarification. We also are quite aware that nowadays students use lots of different platforms for communicating. For us, the standard is still email. So we can't say this enough. Please start checking your emails regularly, and I would do it in the morning and in the evening to see if you've heard from the program, and even before March 15th, but check those emails. Some of you might have some special circumstances, and you may feel that that would be not appropriate for the programs. You may have family, you may need accommodations. Sometimes your school calendar doesn't line up with the program schedule, and there may be many other reasons. If a program is interested in you, it's very likely that they will try to do everything they can to make these sort of things work out for you. So I know in our application we ask that up front so that we can start planning, but that's not always the case. I don't think they ask at SOARS. So
just make sure that once you have been accepted that you raise these kind of challenges early on, because we will work with you to make them happen, but sometimes that takes a little extra planning at our end. So don't be afraid to bring them up. There is money available for us to tap into to help make those sort of things happen.
Yeah, but again, just communicate it, because the sooner we know, the easier it is for us to plan for those types of accommodations that you might require. Okay.
So we do have an extra resource page for you. I've put up a website that you can check in with some extra information about most of the information we've shared, including links to both of our programs. And both of us are more than happy to be contacted directly. The emails are here. But now we're going to open up to have some of the questions that you've got. So any questions you have, please type them into your little box. We have Alison here in the background who is synthesizing them and feeding them to us. I'm seeing our first question. Are you only taking community college students?
So as far as, I don't know if that's broadly for these programs or just for recs. So in terms of our program, yes, it's only community college students, and not, if you've already gotten a degree and you're going back to community college to retool and get another degree, most likely that will not allow you to be eligible. But again, you can contact us by email and ask. And also, if you've, for instance, this year, if you're going to be graduating in the spring and you've already applied to a four-year college, that's fine. We probably have about half of our students that are still in community college programs and half that are going to be going on to a four-year. So don't let that stop you from applying either.
But more generally, the vast majority of these REU programs are tailored slightly higher in your academic career at junior level particular. So you certainly do not have to be a community college student. I think there's maybe 10 or 12 programs that specifically target community college students, like the REX program, but most others are open to wherever you are in your career, and that could be from a research-intensive university or elsewhere. So I'm seeing a question here. Do you want to ask the question?
Sure. What would your advice be for students who go to a research university, have research experience, etc., but are looking for experience in something they can't normally access?
That's a great question. Those essays that we said that just about every program will ask you about are a great place to address these sort of things. So what we're really interested in and learning about you as an individual is, what are your career goals? Where are you thinking you might be interested in heading? We're not expecting you to be committed to those. You may want to change your mind based on these experiences. But this is a chance for you to say, look, I've had these experiences, but what I really want to do is oceanography, but I'm way out here in the middle of the desert. And this is why I'm particularly interested in your program. So again, you're able to use your own experiences, tie it to where you are going moving forward, and create a link to the program. I think that's something that people are looking for. We're looking for how our programs match with your career interests. So that would be a great opportunity for you to say, this is an important opportunity for me. I'm just seeing a question here. I just transferred to a four-year university. Can I use one of my geology community college professors to write a recommendation letter?
By all means. I know when I went to UC Santa Barbara, and then I went to community college to take typing, of all things, because I didn't know how to type. But I know those classes tend to be smaller than a lot of university classes, and the instructors often get to know their students quite well. So I would say, by all means, that would be a great person to get a recommendation from. Let's see. I'm nearing the end of my associate degree. I'll be doing a work study this spring with my geology professor. Is it too soon to ask for a recommendation letter from my professor since she is yet to work with me outside of the classroom? I'm also still doing research as far as what I'm interested in.
Your professor, who has agreed to work with you in the summer, probably knows you fairly well, so is likely a really good choice for a recommendation letter. Obviously, she's not going to be able to discuss in depth the skills that you might have as a researcher, but she or he may be able to discuss the skills that you have in the classroom. So that's still a good choice. Any professor that knows you very well is a better choice than a professor that doesn't. And I would guess in your case, the professor who is going to be working with you in the future knows who you are and can comment on your skills to some extent.
That's it. Nope.
Is it typical to apply for multiple experience, and how many is a good number?
I think I'll let you answer that.
I think it is typical to apply for multiple experiences. There's definitely some overlap in your applications, but I will caution you that every program does ask their own specific questions, so make sure that you answer what they're answering in the essays and tailor your recommendation, your package specifically to that program. I don't know if there's a good answer to the question, how many is a good answer? Don't apply for programs that you don't want to participate in, would be what I'd say. If there's programs that you are excited about, go ahead and apply for them. We certainly have some applicants who choose to put all of their eggs in one basket. We don't necessarily know who those applicants are. It doesn't give you any advantage or disadvantage in that case. There's certainly other students who apply for many research internships and then just choose the best one for them. So my advice is really to apply for the ones that you're most passionate about getting and put some effort into making sure that your essays are really strong for that.
What is the average GPA of applicants, those that are accepted? And I think I'll answer that and then you can answer it too, because it's different. So for our program, we have a minimum of 3.0, I believe. We also have a requirement of a year's worth of college algebra and one STEM class of some sort. And we now, let's see, this summer will be our fourth summer, and we've honed that requirement down because oftentimes we found that the mentors needed students to have at least algebra level math skills to be able to do the work in the labs and so forth. Again, it's not hard and set, but I know some of the other community college students don't, or programs don't have a minimum. Again, what we're looking at is the full package, and we know sometimes people might start community college right out of high school, not do very well, work for a while, go back, really excel. So by looking at the transcripts, we can evaluate the student's journey through their education. And then again, those essay questions where you really let your personality and passion shine, as well as the letters of recommendation, are really important. So we really look at the full package and don't have such a hard set rule about GPA.
Yeah, and I'll second that. The GPA is definitely one part of the package. SOARS very seldom takes students who have less than a 3.0 GPA, but beyond that, surely they're competitive, and that is one part of the application. So do whatever you can to push that application up. That serves you, the GPA up, because it serves you well into your future, but it's not the defining feature of whether you're going to be accepted into most of these internship programs. We're really looking for fit towards our program. We're looking for your potential to excel in the program and get something good out of it and to be successful. So all of those things come into the equation. I'm seeing a question here, is the UCAR program limited to Colorado community colleges? I think we managed to confuse you a little bit here. The REX program, which Lesley here is
University of Colorado
Boulder, and that is a Colorado community college program. SOARS is nationwide. It is open to absolutely anybody. Again, we are focused on building diversity, so it does have that mission. And you can be coming at that from any program, anywhere in the country, in any field, with an interest related to atmospheric research programs. And Again, the different programs across the country all have different requirements. So just check out with the program that you're interested in that you do fit those requirements. You may have misunderstood this, but did you say not to ask a college academic advisor for a letter of recommendation?
Again, a little bit of a mixed message. From our standpoint, for RECs, focusing on community college students, we are happy to take letters from college academic advisors, because oftentimes those students have gone in and spent a lot of time talking to them, and they've gotten to get to know them. But for our program in SOARS, I would generally put the criteria at yes, professors who know you, yes, mentors of scientists who've done research with you in the past, and previous internships as being your top level recommenders, and those would be the ones I would choose over an academic advisor if you have those. If you don't have those, and potentially an academic advisor does know you better, then they would be an option for you. They're generally not as strong because they haven't worked with you in an academic system, but they know you well. So that'd be an improved choice over a non-academic boss or family and friends, which should always be a no-go. Do any of the programs require you to have taken certain classes before you can apply for them? Yes. Some of the programs do require certain classes. I think Lesley just gave you an example of how they look for certain algebra math classes. Some programs are going to be looking for specifics. Many are not. We're looking for having some experience in math and science or engineering as being prerequisites, but very few require specific classes. But you, again, want to check into the requirements of the program that you're looking at. I am an astronomy major. My question is, how does one become a successful employee in the field of your choosing? I think becoming a successful employee in any field requires you to work hard in it and be passionate about it. I don't think that is different whether you're applying for medicine, science, or anything else. If you're interested in doing astronomy, look for programs that are in astronomy, which will give you a taste for what an astronomy science degree is. I also was an astronomy major. I became an atmospheric scientist in graduate school. Here I am working in an internship program sort of setting, so there are a lot of pathways there. A lot of my astronomy major friends went into computing science, some of them are in the financial industry. I think always you want to look for what interests you, investigate your options, don't feel limited by your major, and really just work hard at what you want to do and be open to these sort of things. And I also would, tap your professors or graduate students in your program and talk to them about what it would take to be a good employee and what level of education you need. I'm sure, I'm a water person, so I'm more on the ground here. But, I'm sure there's all sorts of different types of jobs in the field, and you want to be able to match your interests and level of education for the types of job that you're going to be seeking when you graduate.
For any of you who are interested in any sort of geoscience careers, I would consider adding some sort of computing class to your resume. More and more of our science research at some point in the research project does require you to be on the computer, probably doing some programming, and that's a skill that I would encourage you to pick up while you're in college if you can. Another question here. Any suggestions where to seek funding for independent undergraduate program research on glaciology?
Well, I know at the University of Colorado we have NSTAR, the Institute for Arctic and Alpine Research, so they do research in glaciology, as well as my institute, Ceres. We also have the UROP program, the Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program, I think it's called, which many universities do have a UROP program that's, I believe, funded by NSF. So I don't know exactly how you would find that out, but there must be some centralized location at your university that would have different types of funding opportunities for doing undergraduate research.
And one of the things that I wish somebody had told me early on in my career is asking a question is always a valid way of finding jobs. So if there's somebody you know that is doing research that you're interested in, it doesn't have to be at your university, reach out to them. Say, hey, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Do you have any opportunities for undergraduate research programs? Because many of these schools and professors can tap into research funds and hire students for the summer. You may not get the full well-rounded package with a group of peers and professional development that you would get if you were in a technical REU program, but you would still have the opportunity to do independent research. And there is never a too early time to do that. I know many people who have walked into graduate school or postdoctoral positions just by reaching out to people who have research interests. So talk to the professors or the scientists that you're interested in working with in whatever the field. For glaciology, you might also look into the GIRP program, JIRP, which is a Juneau glacial research program that actually spends time on the glaciers.
And I just had another thought is, besides professors potentially having funding to pay undergrads, oftentimes if you're eligible for work study, then you could potentially be paid through the work study program to do research in a lab. So there's lots of different opportunities and potential, but the main thing is get talking to your professors.
Right now we have no more questions. I'll give you another minute to think of one. But I want to thank you all for being here. I think these research internship opportunities or research experiences are a really fantastic resource for you as you're starting out. Please check into them, apply for the ones that are interesting to you, discover that you love geosciences, and come and join our field because it's a really fun place to work and a really fun place to be. And we would love to have you in these programs. So thanks for being along.
Yeah, and remember also that you have access to this after the fact. And so if you didn't get a chance to write down a website or whatever, you can go back and do it at your convenience.
Yeah, we will send all these slides to you as soon as the recording is done. And our contact information is there on the screen. Thank you all for signing in, and in what I know is a busy week. If you're still in exams, good luck for the rest of them, and I hope you all have a great holiday.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.